Our first speaker is Sarah Carnes. She's from Columbus, Ohio. Her piece is titled Ghost, Space, and Longing, A Contemplation of Grief. And the following is her explanation of her work. Initiated by Dr. Suzanne Ashworth's introductory English course, Anger, Craving, and Grief, and heavily influenced by T. Fleischman's Syzygy, Beauty, Mary Oliver's Blue Horses, Alison Titus's Some of Every Lost Ship, and David Lowery's film, A Ghost Story, the poems being presented will explore grief across time and through various spaces and momentary interactions. This will create a space in which the audience can experience grief from multiple perspectives in experimental contexts.
Thank you. Good afternoon. What might sound like could end up being a grim presentation, I promise you that a big point of this entire thing is that where there's grief, there's beauty. Okay, so as Elise said, I was heavily inspired by the works of T. Fleischman, Alison Titus, and Mary Oliver. So these quotes that you're going to see up here, I'll let you read them for yourself. But they are introductory quotes from each of those texts that represent sort of the inspiration behind the work that I will be presenting. So for Syzygy Beauty, Fleischman composed a book of individual essays, and they're short, but they all make up one story, and it's very poetic, and she focuses a lot on inner turmoil and conflict in the relationship with yourself and relationships with other people as well, and the complexities that take place there. We all have ghosts in our life, whether it's a person, the past, a history, a different version of yourself. So I thought that that was very well represented in this quote. And then here with Mary Oliver, I used this quote to showcase how she uses imagery. Her work of Blue Horses really shows the beauty of nature and contemplation, and there's also grieving in that too. And so that's just a good example for how to use imagery, as you'll see too within my poems. And the last sentence there, softly my right hand fondles my left hand as though it were you, that's the ghost. And then this leads very well into the presentation. All of this really embodies the main idea and theme of what the film A Ghost Story does for the audience watching it, but Alison Titus says in her work, if only some small lament could inventory our reckonings and we could be done with it, all the old griefs. This is important because it would be nice if we could just move on and not have to deal with those feelings. This is an accidental picture I took one day with my phone. I have no idea how it even got onto my camera screen. But I realized I took the picture and it haunted me in the way that it looked like the shape of a ghost, a white sheep ghost. And that has spoken to me ever since, and it's prominent to this. And so the point about how we just can't shut out the feeling of grief relates to researcher of human connection, Brene Brown. And she says that connection is why we are here. And when we feel or fear disconnection, there's a fear of being seen that exists. And furthermore, in support of my beliefs, she says this is why vulnerability is so important, that we must fully embrace it. It's a necessity and a willingness, but most importantly, she says that you cannot selectively numb emotion, the bad stuff. Here's the vulnerability, here's the grief, the shame, the disappointment. I don't want to feel these. You can't numb those hard feelings, because when you do that, you're also not able to fully experience joy, gratitude, and happiness. And then we are miserable and looking for purpose and meaning. And that is the heart of my poetry today. On the screen following this, you'll see titles of each poem as I read. Autoscopy. I was a ghost floating over your naked body. If I am lost too long, I can feel my skin wrapped in a white sheet that sends whispers along my breastbone. Do you see what I know is there? I awoke from surgery, no longer myself, and you were already gone. Ashes. I squinted at the misty limelight surrounding your tree that was embedded in the soggy ground brought up by shaky roots. The fog was just right, playing tricks on my eyes, making me second-guess the accuracy of my nearsightedness as I stood right in front of the thing I wanted most to look at, but couldn't see like I wanted to see it. And I remembered how you never wanted your picture to be taken because you didn't want the pictures at your funeral showing. You didn't want to be shown at your funeral. Selfish. How selfish am I? Apparently enough that I am here now, taking every picture that I can because you can't tell me not to. You can't knock the camera out of my hands using your two lanky arms that you also used to embrace photo albums I gave. You only liked the pictures of other places, not people, but it's the people who want to remember you like I do. And so I am here now, looking, and you have more arms than you know what to do with, and so many weathered layers of bark on your body, and you are still just as beautiful as the camera never captured you. Life giver. I want to say I love you more than once in a day, and I knew this the moment we stood in front of the earthly woman dressed in indigo, a sculpture that had me transfixed. Her belly was full in a way I've never felt. Even when my belly is full, it is empty. Her body was so long, and I envisioned it reaching the sky, and the moment she would permeate a cloud with a single finger, rain would shower only us as her gift. I broke my gaze to turn my face towards yours. Will you love me long enough? Pensive. I parked my car and sat long enough to feel sorry because I had not felt it enough. I had not felt it until I knew what it was like to drive by a car that wasn't yours, parked against the curb in front of your house, and suddenly what was left of you to know was no longer. Reckoning. Cellar of purple dye stains the snow, never subtle, like hints buried in the pauses of her cheek-biting and finger-painted waves. Surprises flake from the tips of her eyelashes, falling into tree rings to reveal distance since the last time we aged and grew wrinkles across our foreheads. She's faithful to cathedrals as a pondering place, a mere telescope to study God's light and do more than believe. Sounds of strings fill a space where she plays a body suspended and moves the bow to transform lullabies that are for her, and I imagine her alone. Soft in a glow, snow pavements carry our steps, hers leading to a quaint cottage for two, and mine in the direction of a gazebo to watch the sky part. Ponderance of letter writing. Little background with this one. The goal with this was to pick an object and write about it as like the background for the deeper meaning of this piece, but without naming the object. Gold swirl and curve measure the bounds by which I say, I love you. Or hold them up at dawn to decide that today is not the day to reveal anything. I want to tell you. I've peeled them from the inside of my eyelids to stick elsewhere, hoping I can at some point be close enough to paste them to yours. But for now, and only just for now, I will use them to spell time. relative. I fell in love with you last, and that had to be the best place to land. Your eyes carried me like arms gather up beloved objects to set neatly on a shelf sprinkled with dust because remnants of existing in the past matter. If I explain to you my complexities in late fashion, beginning with an open window on a rather wet day, burned out candle, empty sipping mug, you will follow me down the hallway to learn where I lay my head each night and sometimes cry, watching movies I feel joy and grief from at once. Will you watch me count backwards from the day we began talking again to the day we began talking? Will you see how my skin represents my ghost, healed, with time smoothing over the non-silky surface at the touch? Can you tell me that you see? I get discouraged by my thoughtfulness. I believe in thinking, and I think I feel a lot more than others, and I worry that it's problematic. I think about being related to the roots of a tree I haven't found yet, but I know exists because I exist. I found a word I liked, syzygy, and was convinced I had to use it because it would be a loss to let it slip between my lips without locking them to something. I've never turned against space or time travel because having beliefs to believe in and share with others makes me feel closer. I am human, and I think about it often. How we should learn to not care about feeling too much more often. You realize I am a process to know I live in these ways, watching me slip in and out of light. Neither of us had ever been more thirsty, surrounded by dust.